Welcome back to another podcast of Swipe Right After 40. So, yes, Scott, I am a little bit late because last week I was under the weather. Then I had technical difficulties and I had to order a new mic. So, you guys, I am back. So, I want to drop at least one episode every week. So, maybe on Thursday or Friday. But right now, you guys, I don't want to prolong it. We have a special guest, and her name is Liz. Yay! And you guys, we're going to be talking about divorce. So if you're listening to this podcast, then I'm quite sure if you swipe right after 40, if you're after 40, either you have been through a divorce or you have never been married before, or maybe you just, I don't know, child, maybe you thinking about divorce. I don't know. But wherever you are, this should fit right in because, we're going to talk about heartbreak. We're going to talk about healing. We're just going to talk about a lot of things. So I'm super excited to introduce Liz. And it's like we're going to have a conversation. So she's just going to open us up to us and just talk about her journey and what she's went through. So welcome to this Swipe Right After 40 podcast, Liz.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I think it's an important topic. I think because divorce is so common, we kind of get into the mindset of it's something that people just move past, right? But each and every time, there's devastation. It may last longer for others, and some people, if you got kids, or depending on how old you are, how long you've been married. Um, you don't get out of divorce without some wounds, but it's really about what you decide to do with yourself as you go through it.
I agree.
And I think one thing that helped me is I was willing to look for help because
That's so important.
I was a mess. I can't even front. And the thing is, when you're going through it, your friends and your family, unless they've been through a divorce, they don't really know how to support you.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
is so
not because they
true.
don't want to.
They just don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. So before we get deep into it, because I feel like we was finna get deep, girl, because I
Sure
mean we
was.
finna go. So let's talk about you. Let's talk about your journey. So if you don't mind just kind of giving us a little bit of your background, of course we're going to talk about divorce. So that means that you was married previously. So what was that marriage like? And why did you get a divorce and how long were you married?
Okay, so I was married for 4 years, and I think I was like a lot of women, right, where they give you the checklist, and you're supposed to have these things as a way to show that you have arrived, right? There people always ask you, as you get older, oh, are you married? Do you have kids? All those things, and you feel like if you're saying no to that, then what's wrong with me? And I have friends to this day who are in their 40s and 50s who are still as gung ho, thinking like, if I don't get married, I'm missing something. I'm not, I'm not the person that I want to be or should be, right? And it's when you kind of put yourself in competition with other people or try to have the life that they have, that I think is when you make mistakes. And it's not
Wow,
that.
Liz, I'm so sorry. I don't want to stop you, but that is so true. I think that that's a whole different conversation because a lot of people feel like the older that they get, like you said, they don't have kids, they're not married, they're looking for what society said is normal or what society has always presented to us on television, commercials, whatever, having kids, getting married. And when it doesn't happen, I think that probably, for a woman, not for a man. Now, men probably different, but for a woman, it may feel like that there is something of self-worth that is not there. Like what's wrong with me? Why am I not married? Why don't I have kids? These are the things that I desire to do, but what am I doing wrong? So wow, that's a whole different topic and I love it. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no worries, no worries. We flowing. We bouncing off each other. But when I met my ex-husband, we were really good friends. And obviously hindsight's always 2020. We probably should have stayed friends. But it was something that inevitably was going to end. And again, the hindsight, you can see where there were just areas where we didn't have enough of the right conversations when we were dating. It's just that we got along so well, and that developed into love, right? And I think when you want something to work really bad, you will skip those conversations because you think, wait, if I don't get the right answer here, that might mean that this is over, and I don't want to deal with that.
So when you said the right conversations, meaning you guys maybe didn't get to know each other better, you didn't go deeper in conversation. What when you say that, kind of explain that to people that are listening.
Right. So the conversations that are uncomfortable,
Mm,
right? When you talk about finance and religion and children and all of those things, I could see that we didn't have the same outlook on some things. But then when everything else is going so well, you feel like, oh, well, I could just overlook that. But you have to have a firm set of deal breakers because you have to think down the line. They tell you when you get married, if the things that annoy you about your spouse, if they never ever change, would you be okay?
mm,
If they're telling you, I don't want to have kids, and in your mind you plot like, well, I'm finna figure it out, or I think he or she will change, don't do that.
don't.
And
Mm, mm.
it opens up so many more problems, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Stop ignoring the red flag. It's red, it's big, it's waving in your face. Don't ignore it. You can feel the wind flapping from the red flag in front of you, and you moving forward thinking everything's going to be okay, but you can't project manage your way into controlling someone else.
Ooh, wait, you can't. Ooh, I need to write that. You can't project manage your way into control, and see that right there preach, you cannot. I think that, let that marinate. You cannot project manage your way into controlling someone else, because we as women are fixers. Like, we
Right.
love to build a bear, honey. I had been stopped building that bear, child. Teddy is dead, honey, and all the cotton is up out of him. So I would stop building bears. I stopped building bears. So we as women love to fix it. We're nurturers, and we think that we can change him, or, if I do this, then this will change. And we do all the things. But I love it when you said we cannot project manage our way into controlling someone. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I mean,
Continue. I'm
because
sorry.
you think about managing. I mean, you have children, grandchildren, a house that you run, a business that you run, whatever. You're used to, okay, step one, two, three, and then I get this outcome. And the outcome is generally you saying, I want this thing to happen. But that don't happen with another person, especially when
Mhm.
it comes to those hard issues. So and those are things that, you learn things on the other end that you wish you knew before you even got into it, right? um and and again, we were very good friends, and I think that carried us for a long time. And I could still, like, if we were to talk today, we'd be able to have conversations about everything, but we probably should have stayed friends. But there was that fear of, I get along so well with him. If I let this go, will there ever be another opportunity?
Mm,
Right.
wow.
And if you let that fear, and again, not to say that I loved him, I wanted to be married to him, but we have to examine our motives and our motivations.
Mm,
And I think that that's something that I have tried to do now, post 40, post divorce, is to be real realistic with myself about why I'm doing what I'm doing when I look for a relationship or when I interact with a man or whatever, is to be like, okay, what are you trying to get out of this?
mhm.
What itch are you trying to scratch? What validation are you looking for? What is this supposed to serve for you? Otherwise, you just go with anybody.
Right. So the friends, so were you like friends, and then it spilled into like, hey, we friends, let's try to date. Is that how
Mhm.
it went? Oh,
That's
okay.
how it happened. We were friends, and then we realized, oh, we spending all this time together. We were in our mid 20s. You graduate from college, you get your car, and you out there in the streets. You got money, and things just
Right.
don't have any responsibilities, and so it was fun. And he came from a great family, and again, we really got along. And I don't have anything bad to say about him whatsoever.
Right.
So,
So, I know, some of the people that's listening to this podcast probably don't know, the history of Kourtney and Eddie. So, my husband's name is Eddie, and we met on social media. And you guys, you got to get the book Swipe Right After 40. Um, and so, but I said that to say that Eddie says a lot of times that men and women cannot be friends. And and when you said that, I was like, okay, this probably was an example of, because y'all started out as friends. And I don't know if he made the first move or you kept him in the friend zone. I don't know, how that dynamic took place.
I think it was a mutual thing because we just looked up and we were spending like 4 evenings a week together, going to the movies, going to different restaurants, going to play pool, doing all kinds of stuff. But I think you can't be friends if there isn't anyone else in the picture, right? Like if I if I was married right now, I would have male friends where we don't have anything going on and we are strictly friends. And I do have male friends who are married and there's nothing happening. We
Right.
hang out, we go to dinner, but there's that respect there. But if there's nothing and no one else to block you from it, yeah, it can get they call it the principle of propinquity.
Hmm.
And that means the more time you spend with a person, the more inclined you are to start liking them,
Hmm.
just based on the fact that you're spending so much time together, which is why a lot of people get with folks that they work with. Because you spend an 8, 10, 12 hours with somebody at work, getting to know
Yeah.
them, going through the things that you would go through in a relationship, right? You problem solving, you're working as a team, you laughing, you're eating, you got all these hours you spend together. And so it just sets it up.
Yeah. That work husband and work wife stuff,
Mhm.
Chad. I
Right.
ain't never get into that, honey. Never. Do not call me your work wife, honey, and I will not call you your work husband. But anyway, okay. So now, so you were. I think you said it, you were married for 4 years, and
Mhm.
then When was that? Like, okay, we need to just dissolve this because it's not what I expected, or I don't know how that conversation went.
So we divorced in April of 2010. And it wasn't like a lengthy process. Um, I think it was more of just unsettling, right? Because when you think about like my parents are going on 58 years of marriage, and
Mm,
his parents were married, I think at that time, over 40 years. So we have this longevity and history in our background. And then to have, people who look good on paper and should be together and it doesn't work. Um, that was a big part of it because you feel like you're letting your parents down in a sense, even though it doesn't really have anything to do, even though your family will be affected, it doesn't really have to do with your parents because any number of things can happen in your relationship and their relationship isn't yours and vice versa. So I'm grateful that it was not a contentious divorce because I think that would have added to the scars.
oh yeah, for sure.
There are people who are still hurting because someone that they loved is actively adversarial towards them in this process that's already, painful. So I'm glad we didn't have that.
Okay. So you both just decided, this is not gonna work.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna go our separate ways and move
Yeah.
forward. Okay.
We weren't
Um,
fighting over property and nothing like that.
So did you like fall out of love, or just you just was it an aha moment for you or him or both? So it was like, you know what, we should have just stayed friends.
I don't know if we ever had that conversation that we should have just stayed friends. I think it just, there wasn't the, and now I'm trying to think back to that time because it's been 14 years. I'm trying to remember the conversations that we had. Um, yeah, I mean, a marriage doesn't work unless both people want it to work and will
Agree.
lean in and do the heavy lifting. So you have the best intentions in the world. Even if you make mistakes, you still have to choose. You have to choose the other person every day.
Right. I agree. So after you got a divorce, then, was it a time frame that you said, "Hey, I'm going to get back out there, I'm going to date," or, you know, like what was after divorce? What did life look like for you after divorce?
Ooh, child, it was all over the place. It really, I mean, I think because there's like a pendulum, right? Of, I'm ready to date. I need to be with someone. I'm still in my prime. I want to have children. To, I don't ever want this to happen again. I'm not interested in it. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. So I actually started, I met someone maybe not even a year after the divorce, and he had been divorced for 10 years. So,
Wow.
he's gone through all of his stuff and he's ready to go. And I thought I was, but I wasn't ready because I didn't want to do all the stuff that you have to do when you, oh, hi, how are you? My name is Liz. This is my favorite color. This is my favorite music artist. So where do you know all the things when you're getting to know someone? It felt like a lot of work.
Hmm.
And if you're not ready for it, it will feel like work. If you want to date and everything, you look forward to that kind of thing. But I was like, this feels like a job. And he tried to convince me, and I said, you know what? I'm just not ready. And
Were you not ready because maybe you were still grieving, or were you not ready because you just like, just like you said, I don't want to get back out there right now. Let me just, fall back.
it was definitely both. And again, going back to the concept of motives, right? I didn't have a clear understanding of why I wanted to be in a relationship, except for, oh, I'm feeling lonely, or I think I should be in a relationship because, you know, at this age, being single, this is not anything that I want, right? So my motives were real unclear.
Hmm.
And I think that was God actually working in me to
Mhm.
say, don't do this because you're not thinking clearly about it. You just see someone who's there who's going to give you attention. Um, and that's not why you should do it, because there's all kind of men who will give you attention, but you can't
Right.
return that attention because it's not going to be worth it. So it's probably a little bit of both, because I was grieving too. And it took me probably a year and a half to even start to feel like I could have hope.
Mm. So during that grieving process, what did you do, or did you seek therapy, or did you just allow you to go through the process of grieving? Because I know a lot of people, when they get a divorce or get out of a bad relationship, they jump back into something else immediately, trying to fill that void instead of taking the time to just grieve, to just go through your therapeutic, whether it's taking notes, journaling, talking to God, reading books, getting therapy, just to go, because you got to go through the process of detoxing yourself from all of that baggage, some of it bondage, whatever you want to call it, before you go to the next. Because if not, you're just taking pieces of yourself, trying to glue it back together, and then really falling apart with the next person because you didn't take the time to fully heal.
100%. And I did everything you said, check, check, check. That's what I did. I had an incredible therapist. who I still to this day believe God used her to save my life.
Mm.
And she gave me advice that I give to people, 14, 15 years later. Because I told her, I don't want to feel this pain. I don't want to keep, feeling sad and hopeless. And I just want to fast forward through it. And she said, if you fast forward through this, you will also miss those moments of grace along the way. And
Mm.
said there will be moments of grace along the way. So you're going to miss the good stuff and the bad stuff. So you have to go through it. There's no fast forwarding.
Wow.
And I tell people that I said there are times in this journey where you will be loved on by someone in your village. Someone is going to call you, or you're going to be able to uplift someone. But if you fast forward through it, you don't even have those opportunities, right?
Mm.
I joined a divorce care group. When I went to the first meeting, I cried so hard I couldn't even answer the questions, and the leader just skipped right on past me because I was boo-hooing. I'm talking about like Kim Kardashian, Oprah, ugly face cry. It was all
Wow.
it was all bad. It was all bad. Like your whole body heaving and shaking. And I think part of it was by me being there, I was really acknowledging like, wow, I'm getting a divorce.
Mm.
Like the reality of it settles in. So I did that. I journaled. I started traveling.
Mm.
I took my first solo trip. I went to Fiji,
Wow.
and so it was a mix of the grieving, the working through, and then starting to build whatever this new life was going to look like.
I think also it's finding out who you are as a person, and I know you got married young and divorced young, and myself the same. And then once that part, of divorce has ended, that closes a chapter. It opens up a new chapter for you, but it really probably discovering yourself. Now, I have never took a solo trip, child. I'm too scared, child.
You can
But
do it. You can do it.
ooh, child. The only thing I did single was go to the movies by myself, and I enjoyed that. But I think I did dinner one time, and I was looking at the people. But going but going, I mean, out of the country, wow, that's huge because to me, I think you found your individuality, like who you are. You found Liz. What do Liz like? And when you're married, you're so catering to the spouse or the children or other people to you don't even know who you are. You lose who you are. So is that what this journey was for you? Just finding who Liz is?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they say that you will change every 5 years, right?
Mm,
Who you were when you're 20 is not the same as 25, it's not the same as 30. So it was definitely, I had more resources at the point. I had more courage because I was just maturing. And it definitely was something that I'd always wanted to do. And this gave me the freedom, in a sense, to do it. Because I tell people, if you try it and you don't like it, at least you can say that you tried it.
right.
Right. But I love solo traveling now because what
Wow.
it taught me is I'm not going to let any kind of fear stop me from seeing the world or doing what I want to do because I don't want to have any regrets.
Mm,
Right? If you don't have the desire to travel solo, that's one thing. But if
yeah.
you do have the desire, then there's just a process to work through. Like you say, you go to the movies by yourself, go to dinner by yourself. And what's crazy is women who travel for business on their own will then say, "Oh, but I can't do a trip." Like you're already traveling on your own. You travel for business.
Yeah. I used to
So
do now I used to travel for business, get in the car, go, I mean, the Florida, what so yeah, I did business trips. So I guess there was solo traveling.
there you go. And it's the same, except now it's going to be traveling for pleasure. Maybe you're going to go farther away, but it's the same principle. And I think again, it builds up that bravery. You don't have that fear, and then that extends into your dating life. I didn't have the fear anymore of, oh, what happens if I'm alone and I never find someone? Because guess what? I'm still alive. I'm still living. I'm still enjoying. I've got friends and family and things that I'm interested in. Life didn't stop. And it doesn't stop just because you're single. It stops
Mm,
if you want it to,
yeah.
but you stomp out that fear.
Yeah, you stump out the fear, and also like you were saying too, I think it also puts you in a place where because after I got a divorce, I spent like 10 months, almost a year just by myself. And then you just start loving being by yourself. And then you realize I don't have to have now, a companion is good, talk to somebody here and there, but you don't have to have somebody. And I got to that point where I didn't have to have, and I was like, "Ooh, I like coming home to my apartment. Nobody's here. If I left them shoes there, them shoes was still there. They will be there until I pick them up." You know what I'm saying?
There
If
you
I left
go.
one cup in the sink, is not a whole pan, and it ain't no dishes, it ain't no plates, it ain't nothing. So you now just enjoy being alone. And I think a lot of people don't know what that feels like. So when you do have somebody to come into your life, then okay, this person is adding to it. They're not like a part of me, a piece of me, or whatever, because they can get up and walk out anytime. So now you're
Hello.
not depending on somebody else. It's just your individuality. And then, yes, it feels nice to have a companion. It feels nice to be married again. It feels nice to have all those things, but that's not something that you had to have. So
Right.
that's powerful.
And you don't waste time. I think it's a function of the not needing to have, and also just being older. When you think about, swipe right after 40, it ain't when you was wasting time in your 20s,
Hmm.
when you would let things kind of play out, and you was with this dude and it's like, I know this ain't going nowhere, but I got time. When you start to get older, it's like, you know what? Because 40, 45, if you do the math, 45 is middle aged.
Mm. Ooh, girl.
Because it ain't many people that make it past 90, 95, 100. So you're really middle aged around 40, 45. You don't have time to waste on stuff. And you should have been doing the work to figure out who it is that would add the value to your life. What are my deal breakers? What am I not willing to compromise on? What kind of interests would I like this person to have? What do I want their character to be like? You gotta get that in line right up front so you don't waste time.
I agree. I agree. When I was single, I was quickly next. And if you get the book Swipe Right After 40, you'll see some of my things that I went through when I was dating. So yeah, you don't have time to waste. You don't have time to excuse me, put up with if somebody's lying, their shenanigans, all the things, because child, like you said, you middle age, ooh, that hit when you said that one. So now you
And
you
as
is a
someone who has
mother.
read your book, there's a story in there that I'm thinking of that I was like, I'm not gonna give it away. They need to read the book, but I was just like, there's so much stuff happening out there.
Oh yeah.
People hiding things, and yeah.
It's a lot. So you don't have time to waste because you're wasting. And like I said in the book, you got to pray. You have to have a spirit of discernment. You got to know, God, should I be wasting time with them? What is this person like? Who are they? Like I prayed all the time. I should have prayed harder for friends that people came in my life, but I still use discernment. But when it came to
Mhm.
guys, for sure, I was like, me and Jesus, we was real tight. Like, girl, is
The
you again? Because I made sure, you know?
the one prayer that God will answer without fail. Lord, if this person is not right for me, take them out of my life.
See, now I'm finna go on, cut this podcast off and just go on, take the tithes and the offering because we can go.
Look, Marvin said, close the door. Close the door.
I
But
promise
seriously,
you. That is
keep
true. Like I
people
prayed
do
that
it.
prayer consistent. I said, God, I love everybody, but I ain't tied to nothing and nobody. So if they're not supposed to be here, then God, you know what to do. You know what I'm saying? And hey, help my heart because sometimes we love on a person or whatever the case. God, help my heart. I know that'll heal. But if this person is here for my detriment, they're not here for my betterment in life, then please remove them. Let them
Yeah.
start an argument, however it needs to go down. God, just get
Right.
them up out of here. Let
And
them just
sometimes it's
stop
not
liking me.
even sometimes it's not even necessarily that they're to your detriment in a way that they're trying to hurt you. It's just that they're not right for you.
Agree.
Right? There's
Yeah.
only a certain number of people who are going to be right for you for what you need to be doing in your life. And you
Yeah.
can have somebody that looks real good on paper and y'all think you're aligned, you got this degree and you live here and you make this much and like Eddie says, you're over 6 feet tall. You have all these things. But if it's not right, it's just not right. And they could be the kindest person in the world, and it ain't what God wants for you.
Yeah. And I think that people shouldn't fight what God wants for them. Now they can want it, and they can love all the things, and they be like, oh, why they ain't? Because they got this, they look like this, yeah, yeah, yeah. But God just say they're not right for you because the Bible said God know the heart. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And he say the heart is desperately wicked. Like he knows people's heart. He knows their motive. He knows their heart. He know what 5 and 10 years look down the road because they could be nice now. But a lot of people have representatives. And so
Absolutely.
he know that their representatives are gonna show up probably in the first year, the first 6 months or whatever, and you're gonna really see who this person is. So they're not a good fit for you at all.
Mhm.
Okay, so now, so you went through the divorce process. You went through that. You processed it. You was in the divorce counseling, and you bawled and cried and boohooed, and I guess you made it through. Well, we know you
Mhm.
made it through.
And I actually
So
serve now as a
okay, okay.
leader of the
Oh
group.
wow.
So that was one thing that I prayed was like, Lord, please don't let this be in vain, what's happening to me right now. And about midway through the second cycle of divorce care, one of the women sitting next to me said, you know what, Liz, I'm moving on. And I think you would be a good leader in the group. And I'm thinking, not me, who only a few months ago couldn't even talk without boohooing, crying. And it was from that point on, she stepped away a couple months later. And ever since then, I've been in leadership, and to see people come in just completely broken, because this is all kinds of people from all different racial backgrounds, all different ages, people who were married for 5 years or people who were married for 50 years, people who are in their 30s and people who are in their 80s, right? With children, grandchildren, without, everyone from different parts of life, and to see them exit and have hope has been so rewarding. And for them to say, thank you for being here for me during this time. Like, if I had to go through it, because there are things that I wish, lessons that I wish I knew, things that I wish I knew about anger and forgiveness and conflict resolution, all that I wish I had learned before. But if I had to learn it this way, I'm glad to learn it, because the things that you learn in a divorce, if you do the healing the right way, are things that carry you into other relationships, because you're going to have conflict with your friends. You're going to
Mhm.
be angry with your kids. You're going to have to forgive your parents or whoever. So, but these are lessons that you can carry, no matter if you get married again or not.
Wow. So with you now teaching the class and leading the class, so like what is it what was it like? And let me just share a little bit with me. And I think divorce and having the right support is so important because you are a lot of times navigating alone. Like you said, either people around you haven't experienced it, or they can't relate. They could still be married, never been married, so they don't even know what it's like. And I felt like I was in that solo mode. um because I didn't have anybody around me. So I just went, on Facebook, and I reached out to resources for myself. I took the time
Mhm.
because I journaled, and I went to the library and I got books on divorce, because I wanted to know how I'm going to get over this. And I went on Facebook and I found the Facebook group on divorce. And when I was in that group, I said, "Ooh, child, I think I'm not as bad as I thought I was," because they was like breaking down. I was like, "Oh my gosh," they was having like. I mean, every day they was posting, "Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna make it out," and not to make fun of somebody else's, their situation, but it made me realize, well, girl, you're doing pretty good. Just keep on the
Mhm.
journey that you're on, because other people are going through, and they're going through it a lot worse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it just depends on the person. No matter how long you were married, you said somebody in there that came in there 80 years old. I can't even imagine how long they were married if they're at that point. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
I think what was most important, and with anyone who's going through divorce should think about, is the idea that divorce shouldn't be your identity, right? There are some people where divorce is their identity. They're bitter about what happened. That's kind of the center of how they make their decisions. Well, if it wasn't for my ex, I wouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. And I'm only here because of the divorce, financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, physically. Um, and I think once you decide that you don't want to be stuck, is when you can start to move forward. And that was something that I desperately wanted. I did not want my identity, they've got even the divorcee as a title, right?
Mhm. That's
That's
true.
not cool. It's like a weird, it was on, what was it on Married at First Sight? Oh, we're two divorcees.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
claim that.
right. That's true.
Do not claim that, because if you're not married, you're single,
That's
regardless of
true.
how you got there.
Hmm.
Right? So as long as you don't let that be your identity, or constantly think of yourself as a divorced person, I think that helps you, move forward. And I was just blessed to have the group, and still in the group helping people, and have that community. And I think the other thing you have to do is pay it forward, because when you're able to help somebody else who is going through a divorce by telling them, like, you know what, I went to work and I went into the bathroom and I slid down the wall of the bathroom onto the floor crying. And then I went to my boss's office. He had no idea what was going on. And I was like, had tears running down my face. And I said, I just can't do it. Right. So if I'm telling you that story, which is actually what happened to me,
Mm,
that then someone else can feel like, okay, I'm not crazy
right.
for feeling these feelings. And I can also be like, but I got through it.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that, to be that hope, that encourager, that motivator, I think has made such a difference, because like my prayer was like, Lord, don't let this be in vain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. A lot of times we go through too is for other people. We go through it then so we can be a light and a help to somebody else.
Amen.
Because it feels great to have support in whatever you're going through, to have a support system, whether it's a stranger, whether it's a Facebook group, whether whatever, because we need to navigate life through people. Like, that's what we're here for, to help each other. So it shouldn't be that somebody, if you're listening to this podcast and you're going through a divorce and it just feels like the end, it's not the end. And you have support. You reach out to, like I said, different Facebook groups or whatever, to get that support, because you're not alone. Like, people go through divorce. I don't know the statistic of divorce and the ratio or whatever, but people get divorced all the time. And some people, I mean, some people still probably trying to get over 3 years later. I don't know. It didn't take that long for me, thank God. But I know it can be, traumatizing,
Hmm.
because it felt, and it felt in that moment like a grief, like a death. for me.
It
You
is.
know, I was grieving, I guess, a part of my previous life. I don't know, but it just felt like death.
It is. It is. It is. It's a big loss. There's so many. This one thing that we tell people in one of the lessons is to write down your loss. Every single loss that you're experiencing because of this divorce. It's the loss of, if you had the dream that y'all was going to be in rocking chairs on the front porch, watching your grandchildren. So the loss of income. It's the loss of having that person that you lie next to every night to talk over issues. The loss of family. If you lose that whole other half of your family, it's the loss of friends. It's the loss of identity because you were Mrs. You know, so and so. And that's the thing, like women, your title, everything changes for you. When a man
Mm,
gets married, he's still Mr. If he gets divorced, he's still Mr. But you
true.
go from Mrs. to Miss or Ms. or whatever. So there's so many things that you lose, and you have to grieve to name those things and then grieve them. And if you are, again, in some kind of contentious relationship with the person, you have children and you're co-parenting and it's going poorly, or they're trying to antagonize you or whatnot, you have this wound that you can't even heal because somebody's constantly picking at it.
Mm,
So all of
yeah.
these scenarios, but even in any of those scenarios, you still have to have your character about what you will do and what you won't do,
Mm,
because that's going to live past the divorce.
yes. Wow. Well, this has been great. I really appreciate you for accepting this invitation to sit down and let's talk about divorce because it needs to be talked about. You know, somebody needs to hear this. Somebody's going through this. You know, somebody may still be stuck in it. And they just don't know how to navigate out of it. But I'm telling you, once you navigate out, oh my gosh, it is a beautiful, wonderful thing. Oh my god,
Yeah, whether
I
you
have
date
my.
or not, you become a new person
You do.
with new interests and the ability to say, I went through this very hard thing and I came out on the other side. I can do hard things and it won't kill me.
And it
Like, to
won't
be able
kill
to
you.
say that, it won't kill
Yeah.
you. That's what my
Yeah.
therapist always said. Think of the worst case outcome of anything that you're worried about. And I would name all these things. She said, you know what? I noticed that you didn't name dying. So if you're not gonna die, that would be the worst of it. If it's whatever thing. And she said most of the things that you worry about don't actually materialize
Mhm.
anyway. You have anxiety and you all freaked out about something that probably won't happen anyway. Like I had this is one of my ex's family members, and we both like Earth, Wind, and Fire. So there was an Earth, Wind, and Fire concert. And I kept thinking, what if I see them at the Earth, Wind, and Fire concert? And there's some kind of, now, that don't even make any sense. It's like 6,000 people going to this concert. What's the chances that I'm going to see them?
Right.
Right. But I had built it up in my head of this terrible thing is going to happen. And it didn't happen. And now I have the experience to kind of sit myself down and say, all right, you need to reduce this anxiety, because if you go into life being anxious, thinking the worst thing is going to happen, then even if it doesn't happen, you still have not enjoyed all the way up to that event because you've been living on the edge with all these terrible feelings inside of you. And life is short. You don't
It
have
is.
time to be living feeling terrible every day over something that ain't gonna happen.
It ain't gonna happen. I agree with you. One of the scriptures that got me through the toughest times in my life through divorce, is in Romans 8:28, where the Bible says, "All things work together for the good of those that love God, to those that are called according to His purpose." Because I knew that scripture, I lived on it, hung on it. I mean, breathed on it, ate on it. It got me through tough times in my life because I knew that if I'm going through this, because the Bible said all things work together for my good, it don't feel good, but I know it's going to work together for my good. And a lot of things don't feel good in that moment. But it's working. Just let it work. I say all the time, in order to make a cake, you need all the proper ingredients. So the butter, I don't bake. So the butter, the flour, all the things that make a cake. So, but if you miss something, then it's not going to be a cake. It's not even going to be edible. So allow God to work all those things together for your good, because it's working out. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Jeremiah 29:11 says, and I didn't come on here to do all these scriptures, but I
Come
just
on, you
hear
better
the
preach. Go,
scripture.
go.
um where he says that I know the plans that I have for you, and the plans are good and not evil, to bring you to your expected end. So God has a plan for us, and it doesn't always feel good. And he don't tap us on the shoulder and say, listen, daughter, this is the plan. Write this down. He don't say that. He does not.
Right.
And I wish he would sometime. But just know that it's working together for your good, and just go through your process, go through your healing, go through all the things you got to go through in this moment. But this too shall pass. Weeping
Yep.
may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. So your morning joy is around the corner. Just hold on. So if you're listening to this and you don't feel like you can make it, you can. I promise you, you can. If
You
you made
can.
it from other things, look back over your life and see what else you done made it from. That is a testament to know that you can make it through this. So yes, I
There you go.
appreciate you, Liz. Anything,
Mhm.
any closing things that you want to say, to close us out? Because this has been great. Like, I really truly enjoyed this, because yeah, people need to know.
I think what I would just add is that this is a chapter in your life. This isn't the entire book. This is not the end of who you are if you go through this. This is not um, the end of who you are as a person. I think sometimes people are like, okay, they're confused between being a bad person and having done a bad thing. But you have to take accountability. This is not the sum total. What you've been through is not who you are.
Mm.
And I would just encourage people listening, you going through this isn't the sum of who you are as a person. The choices that you make from it will total up into your character. But this is not it. God's not done. You still have the chance to grow and learn, and don't give up on yourself. Do not give up on yourself. Do not just think I'm going to be stuck like this forever, because you're going to miss so many wonderful things. And life has been wonderful. I don't have no complaints. And I think everything has led me to this place now that I wouldn't have had the same experience if I hadn't gone through it. But keep your head up.
That's it.
Check out divorcecare.org. Put in your zip code, find a group, go to therapy. It's okay to go to therapy. It's money well spent. And just resolve within yourself that this will not be my identity.
Amen. What is it? What is the website again, so somebody can go to it?
Divorcecare.org.
Divorcecare.org. Yep.
There's groups
So
all
now
across
we
the
have
country.
yes. So yeah, so like she said, put in your zip code and you can find a place to go, or I guess it's virtual. You probably can do it virtually, to connect with a support group, because support is so important. You're not going through this by yourself. You're not at all. Somebody else is going through it, and somebody can help you to go through it. So well, this has been great. Thank you so much again, Liz. Thank you for sitting down and talking to me. And I don't even know if I introduced myself, but my name is Kourtney. I don't know if I said that in the beginning. I'm getting to the end and now I'm saying it, but my name is Kourtney, and I am the host of Swipe Right After 40 podcast, you guys. And I wrote a book, and you make sure that you go over there and check it out. You can go to, it's on Kindle, and we also have it on swipe right after 40.com, swipe right after swiperightafter40.com. You can purchase it there. And Liz can attest to it that it was a good book.
It's a good book. You will, and the thing is, you'll see yourself in the what you have, and you'll also ask yourself a lot of questions and challenge your assumptions. It's an easy read, but it's one that will stick with you as you go through it, to just be like, you know what, where do I see myself in swiping right after 40? What things do I need to do or maybe not do? Do I take a step back? Do I take a step forward? So I think it's a good guide for that, for sure.
Awesome. I may have to use your voice as a testament when I do my commercial for the book or something. But
I
we'll
do
talk.
it,
We'll
I
talk.
do it for you.
Okay, girl, we're gonna talk, honey. We're gonna talk. So but again, thank you again so much. And thank you guys out there in the listening audience for listening to this podcast. You guys, I'm going to have another a couple that will be coming and joining hopefully next week. If not next week, the week after. I'm going to come on next week, maybe Thursday or Friday. I'm trying to put these out on Thursday or Friday. And I was looking at the date. I'm sorry, I paused. I was like, the date Thursday. I'm sorry. But so yes, it's gonna be out Thursday or Friday. And yeah, and make sure that you share it. This is on Spotify as well as YouTube, swipe right after 40. So make sure you share it and comment down below. Where are you in the divorce process? Are you divorced? You know, is it something that Jack, is it something you thinking about doing? So let us know in the comments your thoughts and opinions, and we will see you guys on the next podcast. Don't forget to swipe right after 40, and I will see you later. Bye.